The alien sky was filled with fireworks. Glowing purple and gold across the massive city of Zerath Prime, billions of aliens were cheering, waving flags and chanting in the streets. They called this day Extinction Day, the day they claimed to have erased the human species from the stars. Giant holograms showed Earth burning, oceans boiling, and cities turned to dust. The alien emperor raised his clawed hand before the crowd, his voice echoing through the capital. Today, the threat of humanity is over, he shouted. Their defiance, their wars, their arrogance, all gone. The crowd screamed louder, the music of victory playing across the entire planet. But far away, beyond their censors and pride, something still moved in the shadows of space. Hidden deep under the cold surface of the moon, a Terran command base still lived, buried beneath layers of rock and old technology. It was silent and dark except for one glowing room. Commander Elias Trent stood before a cracked screen, his jaw tight, his eyes reflecting the alien broadcast. He watched as the aliens laughed and celebrated his world's death. He didn't speak for a long time, only stared beside him. Dr. Mirahan whispered. "They think it's over," Trent finally replied, his voice calm but burning with rage. "It's not over." "Not yet." The camera on the old console flickered, showing the alien news anchor bragging about the final victory. They showed the ashes of New York, the ruins of Tokyo, the dead silence of London. The alien voice said, "Humanity was brave, but bravery cannot fight power." Trent clenched his fist so hard that blood ran down from his knuckles. Behind him, the few survivors, engineers, pilots, soldiers, watched the same screen. Some cried quietly, others stood frozen, unable to believe their families, their world, were gone. But deep inside that despair was something fierce, something human. Trent turned to his people and said, "You want to see your families again, you want revenge, you want to live. Then listen to me." He pressed a switch, and the room's lights flickered on, revealing a massive wall filled with plans, maps, and blueprints. On it was written in bold red letters, Operation Phoenix. "This was never just a defense plan," he said. "This is rebirth." The group stared at him, confused and exhausted. Dr. Mira stepped forward, her voice shaking. "You mean it's ready?" Trent nodded slowly. "It's time." Operation Phoenix had been a secret project created before the final attack on Earth. A plan to build hidden colonies, stealth ships, and advanced AI to protect the last spark of humanity. The aliens thought they had destroyed everything. But they had only destroyed what they could see, deep under the lunar crust, under the surface of Mars, and in forgotten stations orbiting Saturn. Humans had survived. They were wounded, scattered, but alive. Dr. Mira activated a hologram showing dozens of hidden ships, each covered in adaptive camouflage. "These are ghost ships," she said softly. "They can bend light, hide from sensors, move unseen." Trent looked at the display with cold focus. "Good," he said, "because ghosts are exactly what will be." The others in the room looked at each other, some afraid, some inspired. A pilot named Aaron muttered, "Sir, they've got thousands of fleets. What can we do?" Trent walked up to him, placed a hand on his shoulder, and said, "They've got fleets, but we've got something they don't. Purpose." He pointed at the screen showing the aliens laughing. They celebrated too early. Meanwhile, on Zerath Prime, the aliens drank and danced under the twin moons. News anchors spoke about how the galaxy was now safe. Children played with holographic toys shaped like exploding human ships. The Emperor watched everything from his crystal tower. Smiling proudly, he raised his glass and said to his advisors, "To the end of humanity." The advisors cheered, unaware that the signal they used to broadcast their celebration had been hacked. Far beneath the lunar base, a human technician grinned. "We're in." Trent leaned forward. "Start recording." On the same alien channel that declared humanity extinct, a new signal flashed for just 1 second. It showed the Terran symbol, a burning eagle rising from ashes, then vanished. Billions of aliens saw it, most thinking it was a glitch, but some in the military froze, realizing what it meant. Commander Trent turned away from the screen, his voice low but filled with fire. "Let them celebrate." He looked at his soldiers, the last of Earth's defenders. "Let them think we're dead, while we sharpen our blades." The lights of the command center glowed brighter. Engines hummed deep underground. Operation Phoenix had begun. As the alien sky burned with fireworks, the humans in the shadows began to prepare. The galaxy believed the war was over, But humanity had just begun writing its revenge. The stars above the moon were cold and silent, but beneath its surface life still moved quietly. The hidden Terran base had become humanity's last heartbeat, a secret pulse in the darkness. Commander Elias Trent walked through the narrow metal corridors, his boots echoing softly. Every wall was covered with flickering screens, showing broken satellite feeds, half-dead sensors, and static-filled maps. Dr. Mirahan followed beside him, carrying a datapad filled with calculations and old schematics. 3 ships are ready, she said quietly. Their cloaking fields are stable, but power levels are still low. Trent nodded, his eyes never leaving the screen ahead. Low power is better than no power, he said. We only need one chance. The survivors worked day and night, their faces pale under the artificial lights. There were only 200 left in the base, engineers, pilots, and a few soldiers. They had no sunlight, no fresh air, but their spirits refused to die. In the hangar, 3 dark ships rested like sleeping predators, their metal skin bending light around them. The words Ghost Class were written on their sides. The last invention of human science before the fall. Dr. Mira had designed them using alien tech recovered from earlier battles. They could vanish completely, invisible to radar, sensors, and even light itself. The plan was simple but dangerous. Strike at the alien communication hub hidden in the asteroid belt. The Zerath Empire used it to control broadcasts across the galaxy. It was the same system that showed Earth's death to billions. Trent wanted to use it again, but this time for something else, to show humanity's revenge. He stood in front of his crew in the command room, his voice calm but strong. We are the ghosts of Earth, he said. They think we're gone. They think they've won. But tonight we remind them who we are. The soldiers nodded, some too young, some too broken. But already Pilot Aaron smiled weakly. Never thought I'd be proud to be a ghost. Trent placed a hand on his shoulder. You're not a ghost, son. You're history's echo. And echoes never fade. The crew moved quickly, the hum of engines starting to fill the base. As the ghost ships powered up, their outlines shimmered and vanished. To any alien eyes, they would look like empty space. Meanwhile, far across the galaxy, the aliens were still celebrating. The Emperor of Zerath hosted another ceremony, honoring the generals who led the Great Cleansing. Their leaders laughed, drank, and told stories of how humans begged for mercy. On one of the alien screens, a faint static flickered, unnoticed by most, as the ghost fleet slipped into space. In the darkness between the stars, the ships moved silently, their engines muted by magnetic dampeners inside the lead ship. Commander Trent stared at the holographic map, watching their slow approach to the communication hub. Dr. Mira's voice came through the comm. Cloak is holding, signal is stable. Trent nodded. Good, no mistakes. Hours passed. The only sound was the soft hum of life support and the slow ticking of time. Finally, the massive alien array appeared ahead, a giant ring-shaped structure rotating near a glowing asteroid. It was guarded by drones and turrets, but none could see the ghosts, Trent whispered. Arm the EMPs. Aaron's hands moved over the controls. Ready. Commander? Then let's remind them what fear feels like, Trent said. The ghost ships glided silently between the enemy defenses. Invisible and cold, they positioned themselves around the communication hub, each one locking onto a different node. Dr. Mira's voice came over the comm again, trembling with tension. On my mark, the countdown began. 3, 2, 1. A silent explosion of light erupted across the void, but no sound reached the stars. The EMPs discharged, frying the alien systems instantly. Monitors across the galaxy went dark. Broadcasts stopped. The celebration froze in silence. On Zerath Prime, the Emperor shouted, What's happening? His advisors scrambled. It's the relay network. It's collapsing. Then, on every alien screen, a new image appeared. The Terran symbol, the burning eagle rising from ashes. And a voice followed, calm, human, cold as steel. This is Earth, it said. We are not gone. And we are not forgiving. The signal lasted only 10 seconds before the system crashed completely. But those 10 seconds shook the galaxy. Commander Trent watched from his ship, the light of the explosions fading behind him. Dr. Mira smiled faintly. They'll know we're alive now, Trent replied. Good. Let them fear the dark. He turned to the crew. Mission complete. Return home. As the ghost fleet disappeared back into the shadows, the message of revenge had already spread. In alien cities, Fear replaced laughter. Soldiers whispered rumors of human survivors. Some even swore they saw human ships in the outer sectors. The myth of extinction was broken. Back on the moon base, the survivors cheered quietly as the signal confirmed success. Trent stood silently, staring at the stars. "They wanted to erase us," he said softly. "But you can't erase an idea, and humanity is the strongest idea there is." Dr. Mira looked at him, her eyes shining with both sadness and pride. "What now?" she asked. Trent smiled for the first time in years. "Now we prepare for war." And far beyond, the broken systems of the alien network began to spark again. But this time, the ghosts were watching, waiting, and planning. The galaxy no longer celebrated Earth's extinction. It feared Earth's return. The galaxy was trembling, though no one said it out loud. Every major world of the Zerath Empire reported strange signals, missing ships, and dead colonies. At first, their leaders blamed technical faults, but deep down, fear had begun to grow. The word human started whispering again in dark corners, a word they had banned after Earth's fall. Now it returned like a ghost, spreading through every channel and marketplace. "Did you hear it?" they said. The human voice on the broadcast, the symbol in the sky. On Zerath Prime, the Emperor called an emergency meeting, his golden armor reflecting the dim light of the chamber. His generals argued with each other, each one blaming another for the communication blackout. "They were destroyed," one shouted. "It's impossible, it's just a trick." Another slammed his hand on the table. "And yet, 3 colonies gone silent in 2 nights. How do you explain that?" The Emperor growled. "Find the source, erase it. I will not let fear return." But fear had already returned, crawling through every mind like fire in dry grass. Far from their capital, in the cold emptiness of space, the ghost fleet moved again. Commander Elias Trent stood on the bridge of his ship, the Vigilant. He watched as data streams from the destroyed communication hub flooded their systems. Dr. Mira Han smiled slightly. "Their entire broadcast network is under our control." Trent nodded, his voice calm but heavy. "Then it's time to send our message." The crew worked fast, fingers flying across consoles, linking every alien channel into one synchronized feed. Trent walked slowly to the center console, his face lit by the blue glow of the hologram. He pressed his hand on the Terran symbol. "Begin transmission," he said. Across the galaxy, every alien screen flickered. The image of the Emperor vanished, replaced by static. Then a voice spoke, deep, calm, and unmistakably human. "This is Commander Elias Trent of the Terran Resistance," it said. "You celebrated our extinction. You broadcasted our deaths to the stars. But you forgot something. Humans don't die quietly." Millions of aliens froze. The music in their halls stopped. The parties ended. The screen showed burning alien warships drifting through space. Then footage of human survivors rebuilding, forging weapons in dark tunnels. Dr. Mira appeared beside Trent, her voice steady. "You showed our pain. Now we show your fear." For 60 seconds, every world in the Zerath Empire watched the same message. At the end of it, the screen displayed one final line. "We are still here." Then the broadcast ended. Silence followed. The Emperor's throne room erupted in chaos. His advisors shouting, "Impossible! They were destroyed! How did they reach our systems?" The Emperor stood still, shaking with rage. "It's only propaganda. They can't touch us." But outside, reports kept coming. Trade convoys vanished. Border outposts gone dark, patrols missing. Something invisible was hunting them, something they could not fight. The Ghost Fleet had become a nightmare made real. Back on the moon base, cheers erupted as the team watched the alien reaction. Pilot Aaron laughed. "You should have seen their faces, Commander, like children hearing thunder for the first time." Trent smiled faintly. "Good. Let them be afraid. Fear will slow them down." Dr. Mira adjusted the holomap, showing red dots turning black, alien colonies offline. "They're scattering already," she said, "but they'll strike back soon." Trent nodded, his eyes dark. "Then we'll strike first." As the human fleet moved toward their next target, something unexpected happened. A small transmission reached them. Encrypted. Alien in origin, Trent frowned. Play it. A weak voice came through, trembling and broken. This is Lieutenant Kale of the Zerath Defense. I want to defect. The room went silent, everyone staring at the speaker. Dr. Mira whispered. He's one of them, Trent replied. He's one of the scared ones. He leaned closer to the mic. Why should we trust you? The alien answered, because I saw what my people did to yours, and now they do the same to us. For a long moment, Trent said nothing, then finally, send him the coordinates, but watch him closely. Mira looked at him curiously. You think he's telling the truth? Trent's voice was low. Fear changes everyone, even monsters. 2 days later, the alien defector arrived in a small transport shaking with terror. He brought with him maps of secret supply routes, hidden shipyards, and planetary defenses. Trent studied the data quietly, his expression unreadable. This, he said slowly, changes everything. With those maps, humanity now had the path to Zerath Prime itself. The alien defector looked up at him nervously. Commander, what are you going to do? Trent's eyes burned like cold fire. What they did to Earth, he said. We'll do to them, but worse. He turned to his crew. Prepare the fleet. Engines roared in the deep tunnels of the moon. Lights flickered, and the ghost ships began to rise again. Outside, space shimmered as the invisible armada prepared to move. In the distance, the faint echo of the human broadcast still played through alien systems. Each time it looped, one phrase repeated endlessly. We are still here. And across the stars, the once proud Zerath Empire now lived in silence and fear. No longer celebrating, no longer laughing, only waiting for the next human message to appear, because they all knew, somewhere in the cold dark between the stars, the ghosts of Earth were watching, and they were coming. The dark side of the moon trembled as engines roared to life. For the first time in years, the hangars of humanity blazed with light. Commander Elias Trent stood on the command deck, watching shadows turn to flame as the ghost fleet prepared for war. Dr. Mira Han moved beside him, her eyes tired but burning with purpose. The reactor is stable, she said. The mirror net is ready. Trent nodded slowly. Then let's bring the fire back to the stars. The mirror net was humanity's most dangerous secret, a field of bending light and magnetized dust that could hide entire armadas. It made human ships invisible, untouchable, unseen even by the most advanced alien sensors. For months, they had tested it in silence, waiting for the right moment. That moment had come. The ghost fleet, now grown from a handful of ships to dozens, floated above the moon like silver shadows. Each hull bore the mark of the Terran eagle, reborn from ashes. Every pilot knew this mission could end everything, but not one turned back. Trent opened the comm to the entire fleet, his voice steady and clear. Years ago, they burned our home, he said. They called it peace. He paused, his gaze hardening. Tonight, we return that fire, and this time it doesn't end until their skies are empty. A quiet murmur of pride echoed through the channels. Across the void, alien outposts continued their normal patrols, unaware that death was already moving toward them. The first target was Halion Sector, a vital military zone of the Zerath Empire. It was defended by 5 battle fleets and orbiting defense rings. Dr. Mira's voice came over the comm. Cloaking field stable. All ships synchronized. Trent's eyes narrowed. Approach silently. The ghost fleet drifted through the black, invisible to every scanner, in the control stations of the Zerath Empire. No alarms rang, no warnings sounded. Only when the stars themselves seemed to flicker did anyone realize something was wrong. Now, Trent said. The void erupted in white fire. Human torpedoes ripped through alien warships before they could even turn their guns. Explosions rippled across the sector, one after another. From the command ship, Trent watched as alien vessels burned like candles in the dark, the comms filled with desperate alien voices, shouting, panicking, calling for help. Then all of them went silent. In less than 6 minutes, the mighty Halion fleet was gone. The defense rings shattered, their fragments glowing as they fell into the planet below. Mira whispered, "We did it," Trent answered coldly. One sector down, 20 to go. He turned to the fleet. Leave no witnesses, erase their signals. We strike again before they can breathe. Back on Zerath Prime, the Emperor received the reports. His golden eyes widened as he read the casualty lists. Millions lost, fleets destroyed, communication dead. His generals trembled. "Sire, it's them. It must be humans," the Emperor roared, slamming his claw into the console. "Impossible. They were ashes." But even as he shouted, another alarm sounded. Another fleet gone dark. Fear began to crawl through the Empire like smoke through fire. Meanwhile, the Ghost Fleet returned to the hidden Mars shipyard, where more vessels were waiting. The humans there had worked non-stop for years, forging new weapons from scavenged alien wrecks. Massive warships called Solar Titans now stood ready, their hulls engraved with names of lost cities: New York, Seoul, London, Tokyo, Karachi, Paris, Moscow. Each one was a floating memory of Earth's pain. Dr. Mira looked at them with awe. "The fire reborn," she said softly. Trent smiled for the first time. "Then let's light it." One by one, the Solar Titans lifted from Mars, joining the Ghost Fleet. Together, they formed a living storm across the stars. Everywhere they went, alien worlds fell silent. Human messages began to appear again on captured networks. Short and terrifying. "We remember. Earth endures. Justice comes." The entire galaxy watched as the unstoppable machine of vengeance moved sector by sector. For the first time in history, the Zerath Empire was afraid. On one broadcast, a captured alien soldier was shown trembling before a human camera. "They come from nowhere," he cried. "We can't see them. We can't fight them." Then the feed cut to the Terran symbol. Glowing bright, Commander Trent's voice followed. "Calm and cold, you celebrated our extinction. Now you celebrate your turn." Days turned into weeks, and the war became a firestorm. Alien fleets tried to regroup, but every trap they set turned against them. Human AIs hacked their guidance systems. Their missiles turned back, their reactors exploded. Entire cities vanished under plasma fire. The once mighty Zerath Empire was burning, planet by planet. Trent watched it all from the command deck, his face carved in stone. Dr. Mira whispered, "They'll beg soon," he replied quietly. "Then we'll show them what begging sounds like." The Ghost Fleet and the Solar Titans advanced toward the heart of the Empire. Behind them, trails of wreckage stretched across the galaxy. Before them, only one world remained, Zerath Prime. The capital itself? Trent clenched his fist. "They wanted a show when they burned Earth," he said. "So we'll give them one." Mira looked at him, her voice shaking. "You're going to broadcast it?" "Yes," Trent said. "This time the galaxy will watch justice live." The fire that had once burned Earth was now burning through the stars. No longer helpless, no longer forgotten, humanity had returned as something greater, unstoppable, united, unbreakable. And as the fleets moved closer to Zerath Prime, every human heart beat with the same rhythm. Not of fear, but of vengeance, the fire reborn. The stars above Zerath Prime glowed red from the burning remains of its outer defenses. The once shining capital of the Zerath Empire now floated in fear, surrounded by human ships that blotted out the sky. Commander Elias Trent stood at the center of the Terran command ship, his eyes fixed on the blue marble of the alien homeworld. "All ships ready," Dr. Mirahan said softly, her hands trembling over the control board. Trent nodded. "This is it," he whispered. "The day they learn what extinction really means." Across the galaxy, every species watched through intercepted broadcasts. The same alien networks that once showed Earth's destruction were now filled with the image of human warships. Massive solar titans stood like gods of war, their cannons glowing with the light of vengeance. At the center of it all, the Terran eagle burned bright on every screen. The message was clear. Humanity had returned. On the surface of Zerath Prime, panic filled the streets. The alien emperor stood in his palace. Surrounded by trembling guards, he shouted, "Activate the planetary shields, fire everything." But the power grids were gone, the communication towers destroyed. All he could do was watch as the human fleet descended through the clouds. Thousands of trails of fire streaked across the atmosphere, glowing brighter than dawn. Commander Trent's voice echoed through every alien channel. "You showed our world burning," he said. "You laughed while children screamed. You called it justice." He paused, letting silence cut through the stars. Now the galaxy will remember what happens when you try to erase humanity. His hand came down on the command console. Fire! The sky exploded. Hundreds of plasma strikes tore through the planet's defenses. Alien cities turned to oceans of flame. Mountains split apart, oceans boiled into steam. The Emperor fell to his knees as the windows of his palace cracked under the shockwave. He looked up, his voice shaking. Please, mercy. I surrender, but humanity had no mercy left. From the command ship, Trent watched coldly. They never asked for mercy when they burned Earth, he said quietly. This is justice. For hours, the bombardment continued. The once mighty Zerath Empire was erased in fire and light. Every capital ship, every fortress, every weapon they had ever built was reduced to dust. When the bombardment finally stopped, there was no sound left, only silence. The planet below was nothing but molten glass. Dr. Mira whispered. It's over. Trent looked at her. His voice steady but distant. No, it's begun. He turned to his crew. Broadcast. Across the galaxy, screens flickered again. Where once alien voices mocked humanity, now a single image filled the feed. The burning ruins of Zerath Prime. Trent appeared on the broadcast. Standing tall, battle-worn, his uniform covered in ash. This is Commander Elias Trent of the Terran fleet, he said. His voice calm. For years you called us extinct. For years you believed you could erase us. But now the stars themselves will remember this day. He raised his hand, pointing toward the void behind him, where hundreds of human ships stood in formation. This is Earth reborn, he said, and we endure. Every species watching felt the same chill. The galaxy that once laughed at humanity's fall now watched in silence. No one dared to speak. No one dared to challenge the new power that rose from the ashes. The humans had done what no one thought possible. They had turned extinction into vengeance. The Emperor's palace burned on screen one last time before fading to black. Inside the Terran ship, the crew sat quietly. Exhausted but victorious, Dr. Mira looked at the empty space where Zerath Prime used to be. She whispered, Do you think the galaxy will hate us now? Trent stared out the window, his reflection in the glass cold as steel. They already did, he said, but now they'll fear us too. He turned and walked toward the bridge door, stopping for one last look at the stars. They wanted to wipe our name from history, he said softly. But now history belongs to us. The human fleet began to move away from the ruins. Engines glowing blue in the darkness. No celebration, no cheers. Just silence and the soft hum of power. Humanity had no joy in victory, only memory. As the last ship disappeared into the void, the Terran broadcast ended with one final message written across the screen. We are humanity, and we endure. The galaxy would never forget that message. Empires would rise and fall, stars would die and be reborn. But across time and space, one truth would remain. You can destroy Earth, you can kill billions. You can burn our world, but you can never erase the human spirit. And in the silence after the fire, the universe finally understood. Humanity was not gone, not broken, not defeated. Humanity had become the reckoning itself.